Okay, so are you able to see the screen? The next essay,
Yes, sir.
New Year's Eve. Okay, New Year's Eve by Charles Lamb. As the title suggests, I hope you can understand, right? The essay was addressing to the New Year Eve, December 31st. Okay, so December 31st. So this essay is about Lamb's attitude towards New Year, new people, new books, right? His own aspirations, his desires, how he looks at New Year. There are many poets, authors, people, those who disregard, those who don't give much importance to New Year. There are many, those who welcome New Year, right? So here we're going to get what type of attitude he has, right? Whether he welcomes New Year or not, or whether he still, like there are many those who are brooding on the past. They are thinking about the past and enjoying the past. For them, New Year does not matter. Got it? So here we get a complete idea about, his aspirations, his desires, his fears, right? Sometimes, even essay looks like very, very egotistical, right? His self-love, yeah. That is, how much he talks about, but he says that indirectly, he please don't confuse that. He says that, and even he differentiate between him, the lamb, and Ilya, right? So all such attitude with lot of reference to classical, right? Lot of reference to other, important works, authors, classical references. For example, Dante's Divine Comedy, Rebellia's work, reference allusion of Homer, biblical reference, all those things are there. So stage one, you must note down all those basic aspects, and stage two, try to understand. Got it? Note down, make a separation between, the good things he admires, now the good thing which we find, Elia describes in this essay, and what are the things he does not like, which he, does not give much importance to that. Okay, so everything is about New Year, yeah, or New Year in that sense, New Year Eve, right? So whether he's pessimistic or optimistic, right? Okay, how he looks at to New Year, right? So should we welcome New Year, right? And or should we live in the past, or should how one should take life or life as it is, enjoying every aspect of life, got it? Every aspect of with all its pains, suffering, right? Got it? And keeping in mind the suffering which Lamb went through. So what is your attitude? Let's try to understand that. Okay, it's a comparatively longer essay. So New Year's Eve by Charles Lamb, right? Look at the text. Every man has two birthdays, 2 days at least in every year, which sets him upon revolving the lapse of time as it affects his moral duration. The one is that which is in special manner he terms his, the gradual destitutude of old observation. This custom of solemnizing our proper birthday hath nearly passed away, or is left to children who reflect nothing at all about the matter, nor understand anything in it beyond cake and orange. But the birth of New Year is of an interest too wide to be pretermitted by king or cobbler. No one can regard the 1st of January with indifference. It is that from which all the date, their time, and the count upon what is left. It is the nativity of our common Adam, right? So the stanza one ends with that line, got it? Common Adam, nativity of our common Adam. I think you remember that Adam, okay? According to Bible, right? God created Adam, right? With that, Adam and Eve, right? With the creation of Adam, the birth or everything started in this world, okay? So in that sense, going with even the calendar, right? If you go with that, so with the new year everything is born, right? So we'll come back to that later. Let's go back to the past, the first line. Every man has two birthdays, right? So in the beginning he starts with that every man has two birthdays. One is his own birthday, right? One is nativity of our common Adam. One is Adam's birthday, that is the whole human race when it is born, right? So one is our birthday. So what is that? Every man has two birthdays. One is the birthday is own date of birth, another is New Year. Because with New Year, human life has started, right? Because with New Year, the Adam and Eve's story started. Yeah, even if you go with the new calendar or the old calendar, right? So let's go back, right? So every man has two birthdays, 2 days at least in every year, which sets him upon revolving the lapse of time as it affects his moral duration, right? Okay, so in that sense, he says that every man has two birthdays. In that sense, at least in every year, which which gives him a time to reflect upon the time he spends, how he passes time in this physical world. Moral duration means physical moral duration in this physical practical world. How he passes his time. The one which is with a special manner he terms it. One is his own personal birthday. Special manner he terms his own birthday, right? Got it? Mortal duration, the time he spends in this earth, right? So one is the day he was born. In a general destitute of old observation, this custom of solemnizing our proper birthdays has nearly passed away. So he says that, in this life, gradually what happened, the ceremonial celebration, what people used to do, celebrating one's date of birth, one's birthday is slowly, is reducing. People are not celebrating their, the birth. Got it? Except perhaps children, right? Except children, people are generally, human beings generally. Look at this. This is what he was saying in 1821. Got it? Today also we can say the same thing, right? People are not celebrating their date of birth too much, generally, right? So there is a general decline, in disregard, general decline in celebration of date of, one's birthday, right? And slowly it has been reducing, he says, right? Except perhaps children, yeah, except perhaps in the case of children who reflect nothing at all about the matter nor understand anything, except children, those who don't understand anything, yeah, okay, except for them, they are in more interested in cakes and oranges, right? That is the thing which will provide it to them, right? So and all the other gifts they are going to get, right? It does not matter for them what is the significance of date of birth, right? Birthday. But the birth of a new year is of interest too wide to be preterminated. That is, but it says that date of birth, birth of date, birthday is a very important event, right? It's not, it's such an important event, no one can neglect it. No one can neglect it, no one can ignore it, right? Even if you are a king or a cobbler, right? Whether you are a rich man or a poor man, the meaning is, right? It's that interest is too wide, yeah, and it cannot be neglected, right? Preterminated means you cannot ignore it, you cannot ignore it, even if you are a king or a cobbler, right? Even if you are a rich man or a poor man, everyone must give importance to that, right? But no one can neglect it. But the celebration part, what the preceding line is says, in a celebration part, that has been discarded slowly, that has been losing, okay? Except in the case of children, they, because they get lot of gift and they are more interested in cakes and oranges, okay? There may be, at the time in England, maybe 200 years, they might have given cakes and oranges during birthdays. Got it? Right. So it is the, no one ever regarded the 1st of January with indifference. So no one, but no one, took, right. So in that sense, no one took this, that is New Year, without any interest, right? Whether they take their date of birth as a interest or not, but New Year as a birth, New Year as a importance, no one neglected it, right? Neither a king nor a cobbler. No one can look at indifferently. So either people, they celebrate the New Year or they don't, right? Right? If they don't celebrate means they are living more in the past, yeah, but not with indifference. Got it? But as far as own birthday is concerned, except children, people are not giving much importance, we can say. So in that sense, even after 200 years, new birth of a new year is always welcomed, right? Whether it's a king or a cobbler, right? Even at the time, it was like that. Got it? So no one can ignore that, because it is from this which all our date and time count upon what is left. Because New Year is the time, at least in Western calendar, Georgian calendar, from which human life has started in this world, because it is the birth of human race in that sense, because it is the birth of Adam and Eve in that sense, because based on that calculation only later the calendar was created. Got it? So because it is the nativity of our common Adam, right? It is the nativity of our common Adam. It means it is the birthday of our common, species, common humanity, we can say, right? So no one can ignore 1st of January, right? So this is the way he begins his essay. Of all sounds of an old bells, the music night bordering upon heaven, most solemn and touching is the peal which rings out the whole year. I hear, I never hear it without a gathering up of my mind to a concentration of all the images that have been diffused over the past 12 months. All I have done or suffered, performed or neglected in that regretted time. I begin to know its worth as when a person dies. It takes a personal color, nor was it a poetical flight in a contemporary when he exclaimed, I saw the skirts of a departing year, right? Okay. Now, of all the sounds of the bells, the music my bordering on heaven, right, of the solemn and the touching is peal which rings out the old year, right? He says that all types of, the sounds or the music which rings out, right? The welcoming and going, welcoming and saying farewell to the new year, that music is the most solemn one, most precious one, most what we call, purest one. Accordingly, he says that, right? No one can deny that. Sometimes touching upon even heaven, sometimes touching upon solemn, very pure, right? So the bell which rings out, right, when the new year ends and when the old year ends and the new year. I never hear it without gathering up of mind to the concentration of all the images that have been diffused over the past 12 months. He says that whenever I think of a new year, yeah, whether the tomorrow, the next day, when new year is going to come, I always think about all the past activity, whatever happened, right? All the good things what I've done, all the suffering which I went through, all the activities which I performed, all the things which I neglected, right? All the things, which, he was not able to do, right? So in this, he says that everyone, thinks of all the activity which a person is able to do or not able to do, or what he has done, or the suffering, or the enjoyment, or regretted time, everything, everyone recollects that, right? This recollection, concentration of images, everyone thinks, and one's mind always goes back. That is what he says that, right? I begin to know of its worth as if when a person dies, it takes the personal color, nor is what a poetical flight in contemporary when he exclaimed. He says that everyone is similarly affected by this passing of old year, right? He says that he cannot, but at the same time, he says that I cannot, take like that of, the contemporary poet said. Yeah, saying is, contemporary, referring to T.S., S.T. Coleridge. He says that, but I cannot take it, right? The poetical flight, how the one of my close friend and a companion, right? S.T. Coleridge, how he described in one of his poem. Yeah, he says that I saw the skirts of departing year, right? But he says that I cannot take it like that, right? For example, I saw the skirts of departing year. Here he quotes from a poem of Coleridge, Coleridge's poem, Ode to the Departing Year, right? This is the paraphrase of that line. Yeah. He says that this is the way he described the passing year. Got it? Right? That is from contemporary poet Coleridge. Contemporary word that includes the, his friend Coleridge, right? And he quotes this line by saying that, from the poem Ode to the Departing Year, right? So he says that he cannot take it, right? It takes a personal color. He says that unless the person is himself enjoying, that's the way he could depart, right? He says that this is the way he looks at the year. He is almost like the skirts of departing year. He says that old year or imagination or personification of பார்த்த மாதிரி, right? போன மாதிரி like, he was able to see the clothes of, the departing year. In that sense, he perceives. Got it? Next, it is no more than what is sober sadness every one of us seems to be conscious of. in that awful leave taking. I am sure I felt it. All felt it with me last night, though some of my companion affected rather to manifest an exhilaration at the birth of a coming year than, than any very tender regrets for the disease of its predecessors. But none, I am none of those who welcome the coming, speed the parting guest. Right? Now again, this line, welcome the coming and speed the parting guest. Right? Here also he quotes from, Alexander Pope's translation of Homer's poem Odyssey. Right? Got it? Right. So here he says that it is no more than what is sober sadness every one of us seems to be conscious of, or that awe taking awful leave taking. Right. He says that the same way there are people, those who consciously, they say goodbye to a particular year. Right. They conceive that year as a human being, and they say goodbye. They take and they say goodbye to a year, because that kind of experiences they go through, right? Sometimes sad experience also. I am sure I felt it all with me last night. Some thought of my companion affected rather to manifest an exhalation at the birth of New Year. I also felt like that, it says that. But some of, our companion, right? There are those who welcome New Year and they say goodbye to the old year. Got it? But he says that I am not that type of person. I am not that of a person, who welcomes New Year much, right? Quoting Alexander Pope's line, right? The Homer's translation of Odyssey, chapter 15, I think sometime around chapter 15, I think it's line from 81. Yeah. He says that, welcome the coming, speed the parting guest. That is, you are welcome the new year. Welcome the coming year and speed. Say goodbye to the old year. Right? Say goodbye to the old guest. That's why parting guest. Yeah. But I am not that type of a man. Right? He says that I was not that type of man who could combine, okay, who could share the happiness, right, of his companion, whether his own friend, got it? I mean, that is S.T. Coleridge in that perspective, or his own
Sir, your
companion.
voice is not audible, sir.
Yes, not audible. Why? Companion, okay, companion refers to some of his own friends, okay, some of his own friends, right? Those who take the new year from that perspective. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so some of his own companion, right? Some of his own companion, rather, those who welcome the new year with lot of spirit, right? Those who welcome the new year with a lot of happiness and say goodbye, yeah, to the old year. So he says that he was not like that who welcomes this, who welcomed the new year and would say goodbye to the parting guest, to the old year, right? Got it? So this allusion, quotation from Alexander Pope, Homer's work, Homer's Odyssey, right? This is the translation of that work, Homer's Odyssey, chapter 15, 84 line, and the preceding one from Coleridge's Ode to Departing Year, right? That is the paraphrase of the line that you must remember. All right. Next, I am naturally beforehand shy of novelties, new books, new faces, new years, from some mental twist which make it difficult for me to face the prospective. I have almost ceased to hope that I am sanguine only in prospect of other former years. I plunge into foregrown visions and conclusion. I encounter pell-mell with past disappointment. I am armor-proof against old discouragement. I forgive or overcome in fancy old adversaries. I play over it again for love, as the gamester phrase it, game for the which I once paid so dear. I would scare now, right, have any of those untoward accident and event in my life reversed. I would no more alter them than the incident of some well-contrived novel. Methinks it is better that I should have pined away 7 of my goldenest years, when I was thrall to have fair hair and fairer eyes of Alice W., than that so passionate a love adventure should be lost. It was better that our family should have missed the legacy which old Dorrell cheated us of than I should have at the moment 2,000 pounds of in Banco and be without the idea of that precious old rogue, right? So in this stanza, it says that how he's not so much much he welcomes the the past new year, but at the same time he is quite happy with even the past memories, right? The past his own life. So he says that at the beginning itself, yeah, it says that I cannot stand, yeah, I am naturally before and shy of novelties. I cannot stand new books, new faces, new years, right? He says that new books, new faces, and new years, he is not able to admire. He's not able to take that. And he says that it seems that there's some mental twist in his mind. For some mental twist which make it difficult for me to face the perspective. Yeah. There's a kind of some mental twist. That's the mental makeup of his mind that is not able to welcome new books, new phases, new years. I have always ceased to hope, and I'm sanguine only prospect of other former self, right? He says that I am, I am now only hopeful that I lost complete hope in that. So I'm only hopeful that I have the past with me, my former prospect, former self, prospect of other former self, right? And there where I can rest, where I can, go back and think about and, think about all the past times. Okay. I almost forgot to hope and am sanguine only in prospect of other former years. That is only in past. Yeah. I don't have any hope for future, but for past, I have enough golden memories with me. Yeah. And that would help me in past, in future also. That is one. He says that in that sense, he says that all the past disappointment, suffering, whatever happened to his life, okay, whether it's life, his lady love, how he was, he wasted his time, or how the family was cheated by a man, a lawyer. He gives the example of that. He says that it does not, it does not condemn all that, right? He learned so much from that also. Yeah. I plunge into foregone visions and conclusion. I encounter pell-mell with past disappointment. Yeah. He says that I am not that type of man who would, would not think of past things. Rather, I enjoy those past moments also, right? And past all disappointment, right? All the trouble, suffering, yeah, and all the foregone visions, right? And I take them. Yeah. I am armor proof against all discouragement, right? I am almost armor proof. The meaning is, right? I am, I am not at all, discouraged or influenced by all the old past worst happiness, right? All discouragement. Armor proof. Armor proof means I cannot be affected by that, right? So rather I enjoy the past and whatever the experience, whether good or bad, I take it and I enjoy and think about that and often recall, right? Okay. So the past, discouragement or fear will not, will not play any kind of any difficulty for me, right? Got it? Because all this, when you think about all those past things, it fills his mind with lot of happiness. I plunge into forgive foregone visions and conclusion. I encounter pell-mell with past disappointment. I am armor proof against old discouragement. I forgive or overcome in fancy old adversaries. He says that I am ready to even forgive. I forgive all my, the people, those who have done wrong thing to me, right? Whether it's a, or, any kind of a problem and difficulties, right? If at all people have done, I forgive them. Got it? I don't keep any imagination, anything in my mind. Okay. All the enemies and disappointment. I play over again for love, as the gamester phrase it, game for which once I paid so dear. Yeah. He says that he's ready to face this kind of experience again and again, right? Okay. So he says that I'm ready to play such kind of, like it's like a game, and I'm ready to again play like that game and go through the same experience again. அதே மாதிரி இன்னொரு வாட்டி எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் பண்ணிட்டு எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் பண்றது நல்லது. இது வந்து அவரை டிசப்பாயின்மெண்ட் கொடுக்காது. இட் வில் நாட் கிவ் மீ எனி பெயின், right? I play over again for love. Referring to the example of love, he says that how we fell in love with that, the past experience, right? So he's not condemning that past experience. He says that it has taught him many good things. Yeah. And he says that it won't give him pain also. Yeah. For once I paid so dear, I would scarce now have any of those untoward accidents and events of my life reversed. He says that I don't even think of that, any kind of a situation that all my past events should be reversed, right? That it should have happened this way, right? I don't even imagine like that. Got it? I don't even imagine that I should get, all those things that, the new things should happen, right? That it should have happened in different way, right? So whatever the unpleasant thing, unhappy things, whatever happened, I am quite happy. And I don't want any changes in that, right? I don't want any kind of a reversal. I would no more alter them than the incident of some well-contrived novels, right? I'm not going to alter it. In the same way, a good novel is written, right? And a novel is a novel, a good novel, when it's written, its plot construction is perfect. It is already given. Just because the novel does not, you don't enjoy, you would not want it to change it. Okay. In the same way, right? The plot of a good novel cannot be altered. Yeah. Got it? Whether you like it or not. In the same way, I also don't want any kind of changes in my life, right? All the incident, whatever happened, I would no more alter them than the incident of some well-contrived novel. Methink it is better that I should have pined away 7 years of golden years when I was thrall to have fair hair and fairest eyes of Alice Winterton, right? And I think that I am lucky. It's a good thing that I have wasted 7 years of my life. Got it? For loving, and wasted seven goldenest years of my life for loving that woman, right? The fair haired and fairest eyes of Alice Winterton, right? Alice Winterton is the name, is the pseudonym of Anne Simmons. Okay, the original name is Anne Simmons, ANN Simmons, Anne Simmons. Okay, and keeping in mind Anne Simmons, he wrote a novel also. Okay, he wrote a novel once, some 10 years ago, Rosamund Grey. In Rosamund Grey, Anne Simmons is the heroine, right? Okay, Anne Simmons is the heroine, but he did not use the word Anne Simmons. But Alice Winterton, the name he uses most of the time. Got it? So he says that that was the woman, and even he wrote Anna. Anna is he created Anna, the character of Anna, in one of the sonnets. Okay, which he wrote a lot of sonnets also in sonnets, right? So this is the pseudonym of a woman, right? And here he uses Alice Winterton for that woman. Okay, for whom he says that, and I should have it is better thing that I have wasted that because I learned so much. Got it? Okay, then when I shall thrall to the fair head and the fair eyes of Alice W. Winterton, then that so passionate a love adventure should be lost. Yeah, he says that if I had not done that, I would have lost this love adventure, this experience which I gained by waiting for her and wasting my 7 golden years has taught me so many things. So I am not regretting that past. I am not regretting that experience. Similarly, it was better that our family should have missed that legacy which old Doral cheated us of than I should have at this moment £2,000 in Banco and be without the idea of that spacious old rock. In the same way, he said that it is better that, we were cheated by that unscrupulous, lawyer, old Dorrell. Okay, he was a rogue, a criminal lawyer, a unscrupulous lawyer. He says that, they cheated the family of £2,000. Got it? Okay, and how they cheated him, right? And he says that, okay, if he had not cheated that, his family would have that, more than £2,000 in their bank, but he would have been without this experience. He says that this experience of the cheating with the family taught us many things and taught me many things. I got this experience of dealing with such a rogue man, right? Got it? This experience and knowledge of dealing with such a rogue person is a great thing. In the same way, here also, in this incident also, I don't want any kind of regret, and I don't miss that I should have done like that, or I could have done that. இப்படி நடந்திருக்கலாம், இப்படி பண்ணிருக்கலாம், அந்த மாதிரி regret இல்லை, right? நாவல்ல கூட பாஸ்ட் நாவலோட வெல் கன்ட்ரைவ் நாவலோட பிளாட்டை மாற்ற முடியாத மாதிரி அதே மாதிரி இந்த ரெண்டு இன்சிடென்ட் கூட அதே மாதிரி பாஸ்ட்ல there is no regret for him. Okay, so he just enjoys whatever the experience or life has given to him. Yeah, so here also he says that, giving two examples from his own life, how he wasted, the time. Got it? Okay, that is generally he believes, but here he says that it has taught him so much of, this passionate love experiences, which is a great thing for him. In a degree beneath manhood, it is my infirmity to look back upon these days. So do I advance a paradox when I say that, skipping over the interventions of 40 years, a man may have to love himself without the imputation of a self-love, right? He says that, is it a weakness? Yeah, it is the weakness of his, if he confesses, if Lamb confesses that, that he looks about his, he looks at his past life with so much of, looks back, right? And he gives so much of importance to his life, right? He says that, am I giving a paradox? Right? I am saying that, I'm a man who lives with the present, but or paradoxical situation mari na kudukrena illa, is it beneath my manhood? Yeah, idoda ennoda weakness that I am going back to my past and thinking about the past, right, of 40 years, whatever nadandhathu 40 years la, right? That in this man, instead of living the present and thinking about the future, thinking about the past, are you going to think as a weakness? Is it my weakness? Or will you be thinking enna or contradicta solraru, paradoxical solraru, right? Illa, this man is so obsessed with the self love, egoism, right, without the imputation of self love, right? Will you be thinking like that? Right? He says that, right, he looks himself to be light, and he says that, no, please don't think like that. Got it? You might be thinking that I am advancing like that. I am a man who is a very weak man, who does not have the manhood. Yeah, he's very weak. That's why he goes back to past and thinks about the past, right? You might think that this man is contradicting himself. Got it? And this man shows that he has so much of egoism, right? Okay, let's look at this now. Next, if I know aught of myself, no one whose mind is introspective and mine is painful, so can have less respect for his present identity than I have for the man Ilya. I have known him to be light and vain and humorsome, right? Introspection, humorous, a notorious dash, addicted to dash, right? Averse from counsel, taking neither it nor offering it. Besides, a stammering buffoon. What will you? Lay it in and spare not? I subscribe to it all, and much more than thou canst be willing to lay at his door. But for the child Elia, that other me, there is a background. I must take leave to cherish the remembrance of that young master with a little reference. I protest to the stupid changeling of 5 and 40, as if it had been a child of some other house, not of my parent. I can cry over its patient smallpox at 5 and rough mendicament. I can lay its proof, poor fevered head upon the sick pillow at Christ, and wake with it in surprise at the gentle posture of maternal tenderness hanging over it, that unknown had watched it sleep. Right? Now in this para, it talks about his alter ego, the other self, right? Here he differentiates between Elia and the lamb, right? The two part he says. Got it? Okay, the preceding one he says that, the preceding stanza, if you go through, we get the image that as if the man is too much of love for himself. He's too selfish, too egotistical, right? He's just thinking about his past, his experience, whatever he gained. Got it? Or is it a weakness? You might think of me like that, right? I don't have the courage to face the future. I'm not even showing manly characteristics. I'm showing my weakness. You might assume that, right? If I know ought to myself, no one whose mind is introspective and mine is painfully so, I can have less respect for this present identity than I have for the man Elia, right? Now we differentiate between these two. Yeah, he says that I know ought to be myself. If I have to introspect of myself, if I have to do a self-study, yeah, got it? you can say that, you can accuse me of giving that, I have a two different perspective. Yeah, there are two men, one is lamb, one is Ilya, right? Okay, but please leave the Elia alone, right? This man, the lamb, yeah, in this passage he talks about what are the difficulties and suffering this man has gone through. That is right. Okay, so in this sense, he says that he has a dual personality. One is the real lamb who went through all the suffering, and there's another Elia, right? My another personality, my alter ego, when we can say, yeah. Yeah, he says that the one has another characteristics, the other has other characteristics. We cannot change that. We cannot vice versa complement it, right? I know if my ought myself, no one whose mind is introspective and mine is painfully so can have a less respect for the present identity than I have for the man Elia. I know him to be light, vain, and humorous, right? I know this man, yeah, who is a light, vain, a humorous man, a notorious man, addicted to drinking. Yeah, he says that he's addicted to drinking. Okay, he is addicted to drinking, though it is not mentioned. He's a notorious, and a vain and a moody man, right? And he has all the wrong characteristics. He does not listen to everyone, averse from counsel, right? He neither takes counsel, advises from anyone, nor gives advice to anyone, nor offering to anyone. He's a stammering buffoon. Yeah, he's like a fool. Yeah. What will you say? Lay it on, spare not. Whatever you want to say, tell about this man. I subscribe to all this. I know that, right? I am all that. Got it? But please spare that other part of me. There is a Elia, the other part, right? Okay. About this, you can, about me, all you can say all these things, right? So there is another part of me that is Elia, right? Got it? And in that sense, there's a lot of changes which has happened, right? So stammering buffoon, what will you? Lay it on, spare not. I subscribe to it all and much more. Then thou canst be willing to lay at his door. For the child Elia, the other me, there is a background. I must leave the cherish the remembrance of that young master with little reference, right? But he says that the other part of Elia, please leave him, right? Okay, and that is a different part of mine. Got it? Don't confuse this with the man, right? Okay, and that's why I separate myself from the my reader, right? My one part is different than the other part, right? And that one part is different. I protest to this stupid changeling of 5 and 40 as if it had been child of some other house and not of my parent. I can cry over its patient smallpox at a rough, 5 and rough medicaments. Yeah, right. Now he says that, for Paul's, I can think about that past, the whatever the difficulty this man has gone through, right? And I can say that Elia is different from this the other man, right? The other man, who suffered everything, who suffered from smallpox when he was child, right? And his smallpox and the treatment during that time, medicaments. Rougher medicament means lot of, very difficult method of treating at the time. Okay, drastic measures they used to take, right? So he's saying that how as a child he suffered from, all the smallpox, right? And gone through all, this disease throughout his life. Okay, right? And then we know that lamb, suffered from childhood, right? It suffered from smallpox and suffered so much, right? But at the same time, there are all the good things. What you see is that of the other Elia, right? I can lay its poor fevered head upon the sick pillow of Christ and wake in its surprise at the gentle posture of maternal tenderness hanging over it, and unknown that it watch it sleep. And I can say that when I look at, that this character, I can say that the one is other. Yeah, the one is other. One is, different from, this experience. The other one is gone through all the suffering, not just in love, but the pain, suffering, looking after his own mother, the death of his brother, death of his father, right? And how, his mother was killed, right, by his own sister, and looking after his mental sister, right? Okay, and he says that comparing to this lamb and this boy, yeah, the other of me, that Elia, there's a difference, right? One is simplicity, the innocence of the boy, the other went through all the suffering. Yeah. So in this sense, I present myself as a disguise. Okay, uh, two different perspective of mine, my own personality. Yeah. I can lay its proper forehead upon the sick pillow of Christ and wake it surprised at the gentle posture of maternal tenderness hanging over it, that unknown that watched it sleep. I know how it shrank from my least color of falsehood. God help thee, Elia, how thou art changed, thou art sophisticated. Right? So he says that how myself has, suffered so much, but I have created this, character of Elia, right? Who is different. Yeah, who is different from all the suffering which the other me went through. I know not, honest, how courageous it was, how religious, how imaginative, how hopeful, from what I have not fallen. If the child I remember was indeed myself and not some dissembling guardian, presenting a false identity to rule my unpracticed steps and regulate the tone of my moral being, right? So here also he presents that he says that he says that people should not confuse this, two characters. The one is a different one, right? The other one is, the other character which he has created. Okay, one which went through all the suffering, and the other one is the one through which he has created a kind of false identity, and through which, the whole his life's moral standard has been, presented. Okay, moral life has been the, guiding force of that, right? Okay, so one, he says that one is the real lamb, the other is Elia which he has created, right? Okay, so that's why he says that before that, when he talked about when he talked about two things, right? That how you might take it for egotistical belief, right? Too much of self is, for that he explains that why the two identities have been created, right? That I am fond of indulging beyond a hope of sympathy is such, right? Retrospection, right? Now I explained to you all this, it would look like so much of indulgence, right? Presenting my two identities, right? One is the mind real one, and the other one Elia, right? What could be it could look like an idiosyncratic behavior, right? Mental behavior, you might feel like that. Okay, idiosyncratic behavior, that, this man has, shows such characteristics. Yeah, but I don't have any option, right? He says, was it owing to another cause, or why have such a character? Why I'm presenting like that? Is it because, because I don't have a family or a wife? I have not learned to project myself enough of myself, or not having offering of my own to the dally with. I turn back upon memory and adopt my own early idea, right? He says that maybe this is because, he does not have a, there's so much of self-love on his past, and two identities of Elia and Lamb. Is it because I don't have a wife or a family, or I don't have any offspring or my own children to love? Yeah. Since I don't have any own children or a wife or a family to love, and I think I love my past memory. I go back to my other self, Ilya, or my own past sufferings and everything, right? Okay, I turn back upon memory and adopt my own early idea as my heir and favorite, right? Look at heir, H-E-E-R. People take children as the heir, right? But he says that I go back to my memory and adopt my own past self as my own heir, right? Is it because of that? Yeah, maybe he himself gives the reason. Is it because I don't have a family? We know that, he never married, he was a bachelor, right? Got it? So is it because of that, or because I don't have a family or children, right? No offspring, no children. I have not learned to project myself enough of myself, having no offspring of my own children of own to deal with. So that's why I think I turn back to my own past self, on all my past memories, right? And out of those memories, I create some as my own, or as a favorite, or as a heir, right? If these speculations seem fantastical to thee, reader, yeah, if I tread out of the way of thy sympathy and am singularly conceited only, I retire impenetrable to ridicule under the phantom cloud of Elia. Right? In this way, he says that if these reasons which I give to you, reader, all the reader, please understand with the sympathy. Right? Okay? Right? Sympathy and singularly conceited only, I retire impenetrable to ridicule under the phantom cloud of earlier. And those who are unable to accept, and there are occasions like that when they, people are not able to understand. That's why I take the shape of Elia, and I forget and dissolve myself into that and take the other personality, right? Got it? Other personality, and where I go and remind myself about that, right? This is the necessity. He says that he's able to, because of he does not have a family and an offspring. Yeah, he gives too much of importance to his memories, right, of all his early days. Particularly you can see that his early days of with his childhood with his brother, his great grandmother, all that, right? We find the reference even in the other work. The elder with whom I brought up were of a character not likely to let slip the sacred observation of of any old institution, and the ringing of old out of the old year was kept by them with circumstances of peculiar ceremony. Right, now he comes back to the topic again, right? இப்போ இதுக்கு எதுக்காக இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் கொடுக்கல, எதுக்காக பாஸ்ட்ல கொடுக்கல, எதுக்கு நியூ இயரை வெல்கம் பண்ணல, அதை எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்றாரு. அப்ப நியூ இயர் பண்ணல, நான் பாஸ்ட்ல தான் ரொம்ப இருக்கேன்னு சொன்னதுக்கு, அப்ப பாஸ்ட்லன்னா நீங்க ரொம்ப செல்ஃபிஷ் தான், பீப்புள் ஷுட் நாட் அஸ்யூம். அதை எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்றதுக்காக he goes into the last two paragraphs. அதுல போயிட்டு எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்றாரு எதுக்காக டூ செல்ஃப் கிரியேட் பண்ணது. ஒன் இஸ் த பாஸ்ட் சஃபரிங் இஸ் ஓன் லைஃப் சொல்லிட்டு, இன்னொன்னு அதர், ரைட்? Got it? அதுக்கு finally he gives the reason that is it because of in the reason இருக்கலாம், neither family nor children. அப்ப வேற எங்கதான் லவ் காமிக்கிறது? அப்ப எனக்கு இருக்கிறது என்னோட பாஸ்ட் மெமரி தான், அங்கதான் நான் லவ் காமிக்க முடியும், right? Again he comes back to the new year topic. Okay, the elders with whom I brought up were of a character not likely to let slip the sacred observation of any institution, and the ringing out of old year was kept by them with the circumstances of peculiar ceremony, right? Got it? Now he says that how people celebrated this new year, right? Particularly the church bells, chimes, ringing of the new year observation, and today we know that, right? Okay, when the new year happens, how people do, they do the prayer, they do that, right? Thousands, millions of bomb, right? Firecracker enna nadakudhu 12 o'clock December night theriyumla innike, right? அப்ப அன்னைக்கெல்லாம் அந்த லெவல்ல இல்லாட்டி அவங்கவுங்க வீட்டுல ரொம்ப ப்ரேயர் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு, சர்ச் பெல்ல பண்ணிக்கிட்டு, டான்ஸ் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு, கேக் வெட்டிக்கிட்டு எல்லாம் நைட் 12 o'clock நடக்கும். இப்பவும் நடக்குது. ஓகே, ஸோ திஸ் சைம்ஸ் சொன்னா அதெல்லாம் புரிஞ்சுக்கோங்க, ரைட்? ஓகே, ஸோ இட் சேஸ் தட் ஆல் திஸ் த மிட் நைட் சைம்ஸ், ட்ராமா, சாங்ஸ், ரைட்? It suggests that all this brings very serious thoughts to his mind. Got it? He says that the older people, they must have created all this, right, with a lot of peculiar ceremony. They added so much of ceremony, ritual, etc. with this, right? Okay, all those customs, observation which they done that, right? Okay, it leads to lot of their own private thoughts, right? The elders with whom I brought up were of a character not likely to let the slip sacred observation of any institution, right? Any kind of institution. It could be out of old year was kept by them with the circumstance of peculiar ceremony. So all those ceremonies, right, rituals, customs were performed. In those days, the sound of those midnight chimes, though it seems to raise hilarity in all around me, never failed to bring a train of pensive imagery into my fancy, right? Though all my family members, they used to think about that and welcome, this past, the new year, welcoming the new year, but it never brought into my mind any kind of a sad thought, right? I was never able to have any kind of a sad, pensive imagery, okay, meaning sad and different, difficult thoughts, such reflection, okay, painful thoughts, yeah, right? I was never able to bring that. Yet I then scarcely conceive what it meant of thought of it as a reckoning that concerned me, right? Okay, then what is it that the new year this year brings some kind of a importance? Yeah, in what way it brings importance to me? Neither the neither the happy mood nor a very pensiveful mood, right? Yet I then scarce conceive what it meant to thought of as a reckoning of that concern me, that I was not able to conceive and understand what is that new year is going to bring to me. Yeah, right? What is that I am going to get this out of you? Not childhood alone, but alone the young man till 30 never feels practically that he is mortal. He said that not just the children, he says that a young man till the age of 30, yeah, he never realizes that he's going to die. No man who is, till he reaches the age of 30, he never thinks that he's going to die. He thinks that he has got lot of life to live. Okay, right? He knows that indeed, and if we're in a need where he could preach a homily on the fragility of life, but he brings it not home to myself any more than a hot June weekend appropriate of imagination, the freezing days of December, right? He says that the no child could imagine, yeah, till he attains the age of 30, that he is going to die. No man or woman you could imagine, right? Okay, that he is going to have a good life. Yeah, he never moralizes, never imagines that, death. And no one, no, he knows indeed that if he were, he could preach homily on the fragility of life, right? Because he never experienced. In the same way, he cannot go and teach some moralizing, some teaching on the importance of, the life, or, about the death in this world, right? Because he himself has never experienced. In the same way, if you are not experienced that, how can you? It is like saying that, right? More than the hot June, we can appropriate our imagination the freezing days of December. Yeah, in the hot summer, June, how can you imagine the freezing days of December, or vice versa? So we cannot visualize the old December days in a hot month of June. It's not possible, right? So in the same way, a young man, right, okay, who has a very little idea of death, he can hardly conceive any idea about death, okay, mortal death or suffering, right? It's not possible for him. He knows indeed, if we indeed, he could preach a homily on the fragility of life. Homily means kind of a moral message. Fragility of life, death. But he brings it not home to himself any, because he cannot think about that. Okay, brings home to himself means he cannot conceive that. Because it is like that, hot June, how can you imagine of the freezing days of December? Yeah, and freezing days December would be quite freezing in London, okay, in England, right? How cold is December in India, in an equatorial country? You could imagine, right? It would be very worse in the winter, right? Winter would be too worse in England. Okay, very severe. Winter is death for Europe. Got it? All, look at the literature, all death, tragedy, everything would happen in winter only, right? Winter is the tragedy even in our country. Got it? And in a equatorial country, England, it must be more, right? But again, in June would be quite appropriate. Best time for June. Okay, there our avangaloda June வந்து நம்மளோட December மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஞாபகம் வச்சுங்க. Okay, அவங்க June, you should not imagine June of England நம்மளோட May June மாதிரி. Definitely not. Okay, right? Because again, avangaloda summer வந்து far better than ours. Okay, right? In fact, the November December temperature of India, you could imagine the June, May June. For that, it's a hot summer for them. So it is not possible for one to imagine, right, the freezing days of December in the month of June. But now, shall I confess a truth? I feel this audit but too powerful. I begin to count the probability of my duration, right? He says that, but indeed, if you want to tell me the truth, can I say that, right? Right? I have one have to reckon, one have to count the days one's life in this world, right? One have to audit it, one have to count it. I begin to count the probability of my duration to grudge at the expenditure of moment and shortest period, like miser's farthing. Yeah. But he says that everyone has to think in the same way. I also speculate, I also think, right? How long I am going to live in this world, right? Okay, right? I cannot imagine a situation like that. So I have to imagine, yeah, because each and every moment what is passing in this world, I have to count it, right? Okay, because the life is very short. I have to save it, right? Because unless the life, I would lose everything. I have to count it. So I begin to count the possibilities of my duration in this life, in this world, how much I'm going to live, to grudge at the expenditure of moment and the shortest period. I have to do like how the miser does with the farthing. Farthing means, farthing is a coin, okay, old coin, right? Former coin, okay. Yeah, it was almost, equal to one quarter of a penny. Okay, maybe we can say 25 paise, right? In older one, this farthing was removed in 1961. Okay, yeah, it was a older coin. He says that how the miser, Yeah, you know the meaning of miser, right? The கஞ்சம் பண்றவங்க சேர்க்கிறவங்க எப்படி அவர் காசு சேர்ப்பாரோ அதே மாதிரி நான் வந்து இந்த டைமை சேர்க்கணும். பிகாஸ் in this உலகத்துல நான் கொஞ்ச நாள் தான் வர போறோம். We have a limited time. I have to save that. I have to count it, right? Okay, because the briefest moment I am going to live here, I have to hoard them. I have to save everything as a miser does with a farthing. Yeah. In proportion as the years both lessen and shorten, I set more count upon their periods, and would fain lay my ineffectual finger upon the spoke of the great wheel. I am not content to pass away like a weaver's shuttle. He says that I have to count the number of time and the days I am going to live, right? Okay, I could, that's why I have to count and prolong the days which I am going to spend in this life, right? I have to note down everything. Yeah, it's like a great wheel of life, spoke of great wheel. I have to count because it has been passing on, right? It's like a pagan sentiment that living this physical world. Okay, before, before the advent of Christianity, pagan worshippers in Dangala, right? So even, the medieval period, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th century, and all of them, they used to give more importance to this life. In the Olagatla physical, in the Olagatla Valrada reality, right? Got it. Christianity வந்துதான் அதுக்கப்புறம் after Christianity, after death there is a heavenly life, etc taught teach பண்ணிருக்காங்க, right? So in this life, in this sense, it says I am like a pagan, he says, okay, who wants to live in this practical world. Yeah, right. He says that I want to, count all the fingers of the speak, the wheel of, the wheel, right? The great wheel of life. Yeah, and live and prolong my stay in this life. Yeah, I wish I could, he says, in a way he believes that I could, enjoy this present life with all its, the progress and each and every moment. Got it? And how much possible for me to live here, I am going to live. Yeah, this is the oldest, old sentiment, like the pagans, those who believe that, they can live this life. Okay, that's why they gives an example of even, like the next one. Look at, I am not content to pass like a weaver's shuttle, right? He says that I am not like to pass like the weaver's shuttle. Weaver's shuttle passes very fast, okay, right? Something which passes very quickly. Weaver's shuttle, the shuttle through which, weavers create the, clothes, right? Which pass very, very fast. And the time la adha fastest time irukum. Seriya, maybe 100 years ago, and millions, adukaprom thousands of years, adha fastest. Maybe weaver shuttle, weaver, the way the cloth clip panana, the machine shut faster pongula adu, right? That's why the imagery, right? And the imagery is actually from your book of Job, okay, right? There's a line in book of Job also, right? I think the chapter 6, right? Okay, the line says that, my days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle and are spent without hope. Yeah, so the imagery there also you can find the oldest weaver, because weaver shuttle works very fast. So in the same way, he does not want his life to pass very, like a weaver shuttle, right? Those metaphors solace me, nor sweeten the unpalpable draught of mortality, right? He says that these metaphor, the example of these metaphor, uh, they don't take it, they don't, they don't give me any happiness. They don't give me any solace, they don't give me any solace. Solace means courage. Yeah, they don't give me any solace or any kind of a courage, right? So I am not for that, right? Okay, and the same way, they don't take away the, the dreadful sight of death. Okay, unpalatable thought of mortality means death. Got it? Just by these metaphor, okay, the preceding metaphor of, miser's farthing or weaver's shuttle. Weaver's shuttle, my life is a weaver's shuttle, passed up, I don't take that. He says that Lamb does not take that. He wants to pass, enjoy this world moment, every time, and count and, enjoy every moment. He does not like to pass away like a weaver shuttle. Those metaphors solace me not, nor sweeten the unpalatable draught of mortality. I care not to be carried away with the tide that smoothly bear human life to eternity and elect at the inevitable course of destiny. He says that I don't take that, prospect. Okay, those who say that life, goes towards, right? Every day our life goes towards our destiny, our graveyard, right? In that sense, we take, we always fight with our life to so that we can live more years in this physical world. Okay, right? And this idea is that I don't take it. I always curse and I always dislike this idea that life one goes, life, all our life is taken towards our graveyard or our death. Okay, day by day, that is what it is, right? And I struggle with that. I relent at the inevitable course of the destiny, means I fight with that. I struggle against this. Okay, so he says that I don't like, this one. Yeah, I care not to be carried with the tide that smoothly bears human life to eternity and elect at the inevitable course of destiny, right? I care not to be carried with this tide, this belief that life is every day we are going towards our graveyard or death, right? And elect at the inevitable course of destiny. I am in love with this green earth, the face of the town, the country, the unspeakable rural solitude, and the sweet security of street, right? Now he finally says that, I am, as a lamb, is very passionate about, the fawns of this life. Okay, I want to live, enjoy this green earth, face of this town, and the physical features, the country. Yeah, right. The unspeakable rural solitude, right? I want to enjoy the countryside life. Yeah, the countryside life. Okay, right? Unspeakable rural solitude and the sweet security of street, even the street visions, roads. I want to enjoy everything. I love all these. I would set up my own tabernacle here, right? He says that I would set up my own immovable property, tabernacle. Tabernacle is, actually, from the old Christian metaphor, right? They believe that, according to the Christ, I think somewhere in the Old Testament it is given there, this life, human beings' life in this earth is, temporary. Okay, it's a sojourn. You live for some year because your eternal life is after death, right? With the Jesus Christ in heaven, right? So in that sense, the pagans, they all believe that, you create a, I think a kind of a tabernacle. That is, you bring all your product and movable things and set up and live here temporary only. Got it? I think it is mentioned in, the Exodus. Okay, Exodus, the Old Testament chapter, right? You will find similar lines like that. Okay, when, the tent has been, the big tent. Okay, tabernacle means, the big mobile tent was, placed by, they were placed there to worship, the Israelites in the forest. Okay, so it was a temporary, okay, to worship that by the Israelite in the forest, and something like that story is there in the Exodus, right? He brings that allusion here. He says that I would set up my own tabernacle here in this world. I don't want to go to heaven after life, contending with, living a heavenly life in the heaven, right? He says that I am content to stand still at the age to which I am arrived, right? He says that I don't want to grow more, right? I am quite happy with the time I have arrived. I and my friends, we would like to remain stationed here, right? At the age which we have arrived. Yeah, I am content with that. I and my friend be younger, no richer, no handsome. I don't want to be more younger. I don't want to be more richer. I don't want to be more handsomer. Yeah, I am content and happy with whatever I am. I do not want to be weaned away by age, right? So he says, not just for himself, but even for his friend, he says, right? I and my friends would like to remain, be here in this world, right? We are quite happy. We don't have a desire of more happiness, more younger, more richer, more handsomer, right? And quite happy with that. Yeah. And I do not want to be weaned away by age, nor drop like a mellowed fruit, right? I don't want to be weaned away like it's, weaned away by age, right? How the children are weaned away, mother, right? When mother, when mothers, they give milk, right? When they stop, giving milk to the boy, what happens? Child is weaned away by the age, right? When child grows old, mother stops giving milk to that, right? In the same way, I don't want to be like that, right? So when mother, stops milking him, it stops suckling, yeah, child weans away, right? In the same way, so he says that I do not want to be weaned away by age, not drop like a mellowed fruit, okay, referring to Milton's Paradise Lost, right? The mellowed fruit, okay, Paradise Lost, book 11, he describes that. I don't want to be like a mellowed fruit, right? Yeah, that is the old age, that is, you die and you fall down like a mellowed fruit, very fruitful and ripe fruit, Yeah, example of allusion from, this allusion is given by Milton in book Paradise Lost, book 11, right? Around, right, I don't know the 9, okay, maybe book 11, I know the example is given, right? You can find the similar line there where he says that so many thou live till like a ripe fruit thou drop, yeah, into the mother's lap, right? Similar line, that like line would be there. Okay, so I don't want to be like that, say into the grave, a mellowed fruit, as they say, into the grave. In the same way how the fruit falls down, in the same way I don't want to fall, no, and fall this into in this age like in the grave, in the death, right? Got it? And any alteration on this earth is mine, in diet or in lodging, puzzles and discomposes me. He says that any alteration, he says that lamb, a lamb says that he does not want any kind of changes in this earthly life, right? Any alteration is not required. I am not for any kind of alteration, right? I would like to live and stay in this life, and without any changes is my life, right? And I don't like any kind of changes, either in dieting or in the lodging or any kind of, which confuses me and discomposes me, which gives me a lot of discomfort, right? I'm quite happy in that sense. My household gods plant a terrible fixed food. We are not uprooted up without blood. Yeah. And he says that my household goods, referring to the ancient Rome, for ancient Rome, they believe that there are two deities for them. Okay, one is known as Lares, L-A-R-E-S, Lares, and the other is Penates. Okay, one is the physical god, others are, personification of gods. Okay, and all of them would save the family from all the terrible problems. Okay, terrible problems, all the protect from any kind of a danger. Okay, according to Roman myth, right? So the ancient Rome, they believed in that. Lares, L-A-R-E-S, Lares and Penates. Yeah, that is the imagery, Lamb brings here, right? Because, these two would save them from all kind of physical danger and any kind of a metaphorical danger also, right? So he says that, all his personal belongings, household gods, all his, property, money, whatever the belongings he has, right? Okay, in that sense, here here household code stands for all the good things about him, his personal likings and everything. Plant and terrible fruits. He says that I have fixed all my gods and every of my belonging, all my personal liking, everything is fixed in this physical earth, right? It cannot be uprooted. Okay, and I'm quite, homely and fixed with this earth, right? And are not rooted up without any blood, right? He says that I am made myself my home permanently in this earth, right? And I would not like anyone to uproot me by saying that you have a heavenly life. Okay, enjoy this life is very short, so that you can die, or enjoy or welcome the death. Okay, all these images are saying that welcome the death, die like a mellowed fruit. Okay, and be ready for your table at the, after death in the god. Okay, right? The plants are terrible fixed food and are not uprooted up without blood. They do not willingly seek Valerian shows, right? They do not willingly seek Levininian shows. He says that I am not deliberately seeing any other shows. I am quite happy with the shows, right? I am quite happy with this physical world where I am living. Yeah, I'm quite happy with this, and I don't want any kind of other shows. Giving the example of, from I think it is from Homer's, from Aeneas. Okay, it is from Aeneid, right? The work, the epic poem Aeneid, right? Because Aeneid, the Aeneid, Aeneid was, I hope along with Aeneid, Achilles, Odyssey, Agamemnon, all were the four important warriors, okay, those who fought in Greek war, right? The Trojan and Greek war. And after that, the Paris and, the Trojan war, they have so many, other stories are related to that. We have stories of, in fact, Homer's Odyssey deals with the, Ulysses' life. Okay, Ulysses' adventure after the Trojan War. Iliad deals with, the anger of Achilles actually. Same way Agamemnon, we have stories. Same way we have one of the warrior Aeneas. Okay, if you look at, Iliad, idalella minor character. Okay, Ulysses, so Aeneid one minor characters in Iliad, because Iliad deals with Achilles. Achilles is the main. Got it? So these were the four Greek warriors, right? So there is a Aeneid, no, and there is another epic. Okay, even Virgil wrote Virgil's Aeneid, right? There's a story of Enid, okay, and Enid, what happens, actually, there was a story of, Levina. Yeah, Levina was the daughter of Latinus, right? And she was supposed to marry a Trojan king known as Taurus. Okay, Taurus he was the king of nearby area, Ratuli. Ratuli is a present day small town in south of Rome. Okay, in Italy you will find that. According to myth, that when Aeneas, when his journey from Greek, when he reached Italy, yeah, he when he made a contact, the Levina's father, Latinus, right? He became very happy with him, and he wanted to give his daughter to Lavina to Aeneas, right? But already the alliance has been made. Okay, there was an engagement already. They are fixed up. So Taurus was not happy, right? And finally, they compromised, and they came for a kind of a willing compromise, but nothing happened. Finally, they fought. Okay, a single combat happened. The myth says that, and in which Aeneas was able to win over that and defeat Taurus. Got it? And later he married Lavina, right? He married Lavina and he settled down there, right? Spending his time in the Lavinian shore, okay, the present day shores in near Rome. Yeah, there is a town also named after. Okay, you can see that, right? Levitina or Levinas. There's a town south of some 10 kilometers south of Rome today. Also very famous very famous tourist spot today, right? So that is what he says. But there is another myth also that after that, there was a second battle. In second battle, Taurus was able to defeat and win over, Levina again. Okay. So here the allusion of, okay, Levina shows means how Enid showed, Enid sought the shores of Levina. I don't want. They do not willingly seek a Levininian shows. He says that my life is different. My household gods are different. They are fixed here. They don't want any kind of a lenient show like that. How Enid desired for Levininian shows. In the same way, I don't want that. My household gods, my tabernacle is quite fixed in this physical earth, right? Okay, they do not willingly seek Nevininian shows. In new state of being staggers me, right? A new setup staggers me. He says that whenever I think of something new, it staggers me, right? It gives me pain, right? I'm not able to adjust. I don't like, right? I'm quite, I'm not quite comfortable with the new state of anything, and that always staggers me, right? So that is the, this. Next. Sun and sky and breeze and solitary walks and summer holidays and greens of field and the delicious juice of meats and fishes and society and the cheerful glass and the candlelight and fireside conversation and innocent vanities and jest and irony itself. Do these things go out with life? Right? And I think it's very easy. He says that lamb does not want to leave this life, okay, depart from this earth without any kind of enjoyment. He wants to enjoy all the things: sun, sky, breeze, solitary walk, summer holidays, right? Food and drink, meat and fishes, society, conversation, cheerful glass, candle lights, right? All, everything. Got it? Okay, all these things I want to enjoy in this life: conversation, innocent vanities, just jokes, and irony itself, right? Okay, he says that will I get these things, after life? No. Yeah, got it. So he almost enumerates, okay, lists all these enjoyable things in this life, right? If one is dead, he will not enjoy all these, right? These pleasures will not, you will not get there, right? So in that sense, lamb is, he says that he's quite earthly. Yeah, right? He says that he wants to enjoy, and all this life is too delicious for him. He wants to enjoy, right? And he says that life has given me so much of pain, suffering, right? Right? But still, and whatever is left of me, I want to enjoy. We know his pain, okay? He spent his almost 35 years, right, for that company. He looked after the death of his mother, he looked after his mad sister, yeah, right? And he looked after her, and he had to change his house many times. Got it? His grandmother died, his brother died, Got it? So much of suffering, harsh measures life has given him, right? But still, he wants to live and not to succumb to the life, the pain. He wants to enjoy, right? And this is a kind of, again, a pagan sentiment of enjoying that, right? Got it? And because there are so much of happiness in this life, right? Whether it's a sun, sky, and all the physical pleasures of this world. Can a ghost laugh or shake his gaunt side when you are pleasant with him? Yeah. Now it says that after your death, right, a disembodied spirit or a dead body, a ghost, right, can it enjoy all these things? Yeah, can you enjoy after that? Can a ghost laugh or shake his gaunt side when you are pleasant with him? Is it possible? Right? And you, my midnight darlings, my folios, right? Referring to his books, he says, and you, my midnight darlings, my folios, must I part with the intense delight of having you? Huge armful, right? In my embrace. Should I leave you all my books? I read you. You are my midnight darling. I spend night time spend, reading you, right? Okay. He says that, should I miss you? How can I miss the books? Yeah. You have delighted me so much. Much knowledge come to me if I come at all by some awkward experience of intuition. He says that, should I get the knowledge after death by becoming a dead body and becoming a spirit? And when I don't have to put the effort of reading and no longer by familiar process of reading, no, I have to get the knowledge by reading it, getting, reading and getting the knowledge, right? Not by simply becoming a dead body and getting some spirit, through the intuition, they might get some knowledge, right? So here he welcomes his book. He says that, right, how the books have given me so much of knowledge, and he spent his time like that, right? Even a dead body, a soul, awkward experiment of intuition. The dead body might have a intuition, right? After the death, it becomes, got it? Whether you go to heaven and hell in all sense, right? Okay, it might have a intuition knowledge, but that knowledge is a mechanical one, right? So he says that I must get the knowledge with the process of reading it, right? No longer by this familiar process of reading should I get that, right? Okay. Shall I enjoy? Shall I enjoy friendship there, wanting the smiling indications which point to me them here, the recognizable face, that sweet assurance of look, right? He says that, will I enjoy there, right? In the next world, is it possible? Yeah, is it possible that kind of enjoyment, friendship, right? Is it possible in that world, right? No such things are possible in that world. And this idea, sweet assurance of a look, slightly translated from, Mr. Matthew Reynolds' poem. Okay, this is an allusion to Matthew Reynolds' poem. Matthew Reynolds wrote a poem, on the elegy of Sir Philip Sidney, right? It seems that, he has, adapted this line from that. Okay, so that's about that, right? Okay, yeah. We'll come, we'll finish, with this we'll finish. Next class will continue, right? Okay, so that we'll be able to complete in 1 hour because, enough, too much there, right? Another from the para 13 to 21, right? So that's you can go through. And yeah, so next tomorrow we'll continue. We'll try to finish this and we'll start Christ Hospital at least. And okay, another thing,